Welcome back to Slaying the Craft, the show where we go inside the mind of a thriller writer. I am your host, Sabrina Thatcher. I am a writer, a book coach, a podcaster, but most of all, I'm a fanatic of the genre. I am so excited to introduce my guest today. Melinda Leigh is a #1 Wall Street Journal and #1 Amazon charts bestselling author, with her books having sold more than 16 million copies. Mind-blowing numbers. Her debut novel, She Can Run, was nominated for the best first novel by International Thriller Writers, which is like my goal one day. That's the dream. So I would love to get that same thing. Since then, she's garnered numerous publisher awards, including 2 Silver Falcons and 3 Golden Leaf Awards. She's a 2-time Rita Award finalist and has earned 3 Daphne du Maurier Award nominations. I always say that really wrong, but Melinda holds a 2nd-degree belt in Kempo karate. She's dabbled in arnis, stick fighting, studied Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and taught women self-defense, which is amazing because that all kind of comes up in this book. And she lives near the beach with her family and a small herd of spoiled rescue pets. Her latest book, You Can Tell Me, will be released May 12th of this year and is the first in a new series. Welcome.
Thank you, Sabrina. It's lovely to be here.
Yay, so excited to have you. Okay, so tell me about I'm like in the middle of it, so on my Kindle. Tell me about You Can Tell Me. Tell me what this book is about.
So the lead character, Olivia, actually is introduced in the Morgan Dane series. I put her in as she was originally a plot device. She was, kind of a romantic dalliance for Lincoln Sharp, who was a character in that series.
Mm-hmm.
And it just got to be that she was so much fun to write that she ended up being in another book in the Morgan Dane series. And then in the final book, she's actually a pretty dominant character. And then I went on to write some number of other books, the pre-Tagger books. And my publisher came to me and said, we would like to have something new, new series. And I immediately thought, ooh, I could bring Olivia back and give her a series because she was really a fun character. She's very scrappy.
Yeah.
So that's how You Can Tell Me came about.
Okay, that makes sense. So talk to me a little bit about Olivia and Zoe. And Olivia is, for those who didn't read the other series, so Olivia is a true crime writer and Zoe's a true crime podcaster, right?
Yes.
And how do they know each other? Like how did they come together?
So they're friends. They've been friends for a very long time. They were both journalists and have made kind of that leap as journalism has changed from really a print media to online. It's a whole new business now, and both of them have decided to go in other directions. So Olivia went into true crime writing and Zoe went into podcasting, true crimes. But they're good friends.
Yeah. And so it also seems, so with Olivia in particular as your protagonist, why did you feel like this was her story? Because you said that the publishers approached you about it. What was it about her that was like, this is the character, I need more time with her?
Well, she has a very traumatic plot line in the final Morgan Dane book. It's called Save Your Breath. And I wanted to see how that affected her. How does she recover? How does she move on after experiencing that kind of trauma? So I purposefully made this book a very personal kind of story that brings back, she's abducted in Save Your Breath. So I wanted to bring that back. So her good friend disappears. And the police are not overly concerned at first. Adults are welcome to come and go as they please. They do not have to tell their spouse. They can just leave their spouse. But Olivia knows her friend, and she knows that Zoe did not just leave. She knows that something bad happened to her. And she remembers that when she was abducted, Lincoln, who is her romantic interest, did the same thing. He refused to give up. He was determined to find her. And if he hadn't, she doesn't know what would have happened to her. Maybe she would not have survived. So she is determined to be that person for Zoe. So this is a very personal goal for her.
Yeah, and I think that it's really interesting too, seeing that Olivia partners up with her niece Nikki, which for one, I'm just going to say as a middle-aged woman without kids, we're doesn't feel like we're very represented most often in thrillers. And if we, but I love this because they have a special, like having a special relationship with your nibblings, your niece and nephew is still like very common today, but in books we don't see it where they have that kind of connection. And so personally, I was like, oh, thanks for representing us.
You're welcome. I do have children, but I also have nieces that I'm very close to. So,
Yeah.
I have a big, I'm immature, I guess. I have a broad range of younger people in my life. And I kind of wanted to, I've done a lot of police procedurals. I've done a lot of that kind of thing. And I kind of wanted to bring something new, not just fresh for my readers, but fresh for me.
Yeah.
I get tired of writing the same thing all the time. So I wanted to bring a couple new elements to this series. So more of a generational, there's a lot of generational fun between the two of them. If you hang out a
Yes.
lot with your nibblings, you understand
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
you look at them like, why have you not gotten dressed in 3 days?
Yeah.
And they look at you like, why would I?
I don't know. What are you talking about? I don't even understand.
That's right.
I don't understand your language.
Exactly.
I feel so old and I
That's
never
right.
thought this was going to happen.
I know, that's exactly right.
But I like that. I like that they're able to come together. So it looks like both Olivia and Zoe have both survived some sort of horrifying ordeals. We know a little bit about Olivia's, that's pretty clear, and then Zoe's is sort of revealed over time with this disappearance. And did you see that as a necessary part of their friendship, that having both had some sort of like deep traumatic past?
I did not know that happened to Zoe until I was well into the book. I'm
Oh,
not
wow.
a huge
Isn't it
plotter.
amazing how that happened? Oh my gosh.
I'm not a plotter, so sometimes these things just happen organically. I'm typing along and I'm thinking, oh wait, I think this would be a really good idea, or that'll work here. But yes, it turns out it was a good idea.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's fantastic. So another kind of random question. If you could have your own true crime podcast, what would it be about and how would you format it?
I don't know. I guess it would obviously be murder, right? Because that's what I
Yeah,
spend
I mean, it would have
all
to be,
day
right?
long thinking about murder and ways to murder people, original
Yes.
sin. I'm always saying to my kids, I've already killed somebody in like every way you can think of. Somebody give me an original sin. And the kids are like, there's something wrong with you. So I don't know. It would probably be like, weird murders.
Yeah.
The weird murder
like
podcast.
Storytelling, or would you have a podcast partner where you're like by yourself? Or are you doing like interview style?
The problem with podcasting for me is it's true, and for me it's usually less interesting than fiction.
That's true.
I read a headline and I go in and start reading the story, and I'm like, that's boring. I could think of something better than that. That's so ordinary.
Oh, that's too funny. Something you have in here, I won't go into like the details of the scene, but one of the characters has a kind of a man versus bear experience. And I loved that. I was just like, could you just kind of speak to writing about something that was kind of in the zeitgeist at the time? Was that what you were taking?
Yes, it was just that was in the news, and I was like, well, I got a twist on that. I just couldn't resist.
It was the character has this thought of like, yeah, I would rather take the bear. It's like, and it's a literal bear.
Oh, but it even gets better than that once you finish it. So
okay. So for you, what was the most fun part of this story to write?
For me, it's the unique elements. Like I said, I've been doing police procedurals. I just finished the 11th Bree Taggart book and turned that into my editor. So I've kind of been doing the same thing since, 2020. So for me, the new elements, a true crime writer, I'm not as, the plot isn't as hemmed in by what, Sheriff Bree Taggart must do whenever there's a crime. So I have a lot more freedom and leeway to do things that I'm sure a PI or journalist would actually never do. But what fun is that?
Yeah.
So that and her relationship with her niece. So those are two things that were like new that I could add, that were fresh and different and were fun for me to write. Plus, I love to write a little humor in my books anyway, because
Yeah.
they can be really, really dark. So
Hmm.
you have to have a little something to balance that,
Yeah.
really utter darkness.
So what was the most challenging part of writing this particular story, and how did you overcome those challenges?
The challenging parts, I guess, again, even though something is fresh, you have to rethink plotting a little bit when you've been writing the same. I'm not going to say it's formulaic, but when you're writing a police procedural, certain things have to happen and they happen in a certain order.
Hmm.
There's always there's always a certain amount of forensics. There's always, the medical examiner, certain things happen because
Yeah.
that's just the structure of not just the genre, but the actual thing,
The police
right.
procedure. Yeah.
You're kind of structured by that. So, on one hand, it's fun to be able to think outside that box and to be able to do some fresh and new things, but you also have to think of things that are on the outside of that box. So it was a little bit of a challenge, but I like challenge. Challenge is good.
Yeah. That's how we grow, right?
Right,
As
exactly.
writers, like we should be challenging ourselves. Um, and what do you want readers to walk away from this book feeling?
I always say a book it's a story, but it's an emotional journey for the reader, for the writer, and for the character. So
Hmm.
my books may have different characters, different storylines. They're all have death, but you should feel the same when you close the book. You should feel satisfied
Okay.
that you got what you came to that book for. Right? You got
Yeah.
your adventure, you got some thrills, maybe something a little scary in there, but in the end, you should feel satisfied that justice was served. That
Hmm.
it's fiction, right? Not reality. So, we can make sure that bad things happen to the bad people instead
Yeah.
of the good people. Not always. Things aren't always perfectly neat at the end of my books, but in
Yeah.
general, you should have that satisfied feeling.
Yeah. Well, and especially, I mean, if you're coming from a like mystery thriller perspective, there's something that in the expectation of the genre expectations as a reader, readers are coming to this for exactly what you're saying, the thrill or the fear or the excitement or something like that. And then, so how do you, as a pantser, it sounds like, how do you figure out your process for like getting in the clues for the twists and things like that?
My natural nerdiness helps.
Okay.
I try to put something, I need to learn something new all the time because I get
Mhm.
very bored very quickly. So there's usually some bit of forensics that's different that I had to do a little research on. So I usually end up saying, "Ooh, what have I not done?"
Mhm.
And look for something, in the scientific realm that I have not addressed yet, which is getting harder and harder because I've written more than 40 stories. So,
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to keep track of all of those things. So, like, thinking about that, when you're writing multiple series, like, let's kind of like just get down to sort of brass tacks, right? Like, in the actual craft, how are you keeping track of all of these characters and their histories and their relationships and stuff?
I just remember them. I'm
You just
sorry.
remember they're just people, right? Like,
Sometimes I
so,
forget the plots. Like
okay.
I may forget which book was book 10, what happened in book 10, but I remember my characters because
Yeah.
to me, they lead the story.
Hmm.
I write plots, but character driven for me is how I think of everything. How must I torture this person? What's going to be the worst thing that's going to happen to them? So you have to know your character to know what their Achilles heel is. So you keep,
Yeah.
poking it with a stick over and over
Yeah.
again.
And so when you are, let's take Olivia for example. So you said she was originally a like a side character, or just like kind of showed up in a book and then showed up in another book, and then you decided to write an expanded where she's her origin story or victim whatever story before this
Yeah.
one. Where did like how did you decide at what point, being very tactical again, what point are you doing this character work with her? Are you doing this up front? Did you do it when she was a supporting character? Did you like, okay, I need to really think about her story more before you wrote the last one that she was featured in?
Yes, because I did not do that until I was plotting You Can Tell Me, because I did not plan a series for her.
Yeah.
I just thought she was fun. And I
Yeah.
love the banter between her and Sharp. That was really fun for me to write.
Yeah.
So I did not do any of that until probably too late. I probably should plan these things a little bit better. I tend to just write organically, though.
Yeah.
So, what pleases me, I hope, is what pleases the reader.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're saying that, until you started writing this book, so then do you have like a formula you do or like a template you use to try to get the character information? Or are you just like you write and as she speaks and comes to you, then you're like, well, that's a detail I should know. And then that kind of thing,
Yes,
or
I write in Scrivener,
okay.
and they do have character sheets.
Yeah.
So as I'm writing, when I need her to have a certain characteristic, I will just say, okay, I need her to have, this, and then I'll go and add it to the sheet. So I
Yeah.
remember it later. But I usually don't have to even look those things up. The
Yeah.
little details I might have to look up. How
Right.
old is so and so? I don't remember their ages exactly, so which is sometimes why I just don't even put them in there. They're really just not that important.
Yeah.
Specifics, those specifics.
Right.
But I don't really have a template in mind when I write them. I kind of just focus on the characteristics that are important to the story,
Hmm.
and then go from there.
And how do you kind of like determine what those are?
I don't know.
It's just as it
I
happens.
just write,
This is the dance of magic. I get it. Like
and
sometimes it's just a
these
magical
things just
thing.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think some of it is subconscious. I've written 40 books, and some of it I think is just innate. And
Yeah.
I think that's part of what makes you a writer is you're able to empathize. You're able to be another person. You're literally writing inside the point of view of different people every day. And you have to
Right.
kind of be able to immerse yourself and be that person, which is really fun when you're the serial killer. That's kind of
At least you get to explore the dark side, which kind
right.
of relates
Exactly.
to one of my questions I like to ask all my guests. Why write the dark and twisted? What drew you to this genre and keeps you here versus any other? Also, I love in your bio with such a pleasant life. She has no explanation for the sometimes dark and disturbing nature of her imagination.
My grandmother introduced me to mystery series very, very young. She had, I think, every Agatha Christie book on
Okay.
her bookshelves, and Rex Stout and all of the classic mysteries. That's what she read. So I was reading those when I was probably in middle school.
Okay.
Um,
So it's
and
just kind of always just been
yeah,
ingrained. It's just part of
yeah.
like the DNA. See, I find that really interesting because I have the very similar where when I was younger, I read a lot of um like Tammy Hogan, Catherine Coulter, and
Hmm.
Patricia Cornwell and stuff like that. And then I would exchange books with my mom. And it just was, this is just what I read. Like
Right,
it's
exactly.
yeah, like there and then when I was like, okay, I'm gonna start trying to write and like doing the book coaching and stuff, there was no other option. It was like, well, this is it. This is
Yeah.
the only place I know like
I,
that
I
it's
read
gonna help me.
everything though. I read
Yeah,
memoirs and historical fiction. I like broad range of
right.
of books, and
Mhm.
I could write another genre. I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's
Do
just
you
this
think
is
that
what
you
I
have an
like.
interest?
Sure, I would love to write a children's book. I now have a
Oh,
grandchild, so
yeah.
I would love to write a kids book. I have ideas. I have ideas for kids books. I have ideas for historical fiction. I just don't have the time.
Mhm.
I'm so busy producing, what someone is willing to buy. that
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And how many books are you publishing a year right now?
I'm doing a book every 8 months,
Okay. Wow.
and that's less than I used to. I used to do a book every six, a full novel every six, plus a novella every year. And I have
Wow.
scaled that back because I'm finding it takes me longer to write a book than it used to. I
Okay.
think because, I'm always trying to do something fresh and it's getting harder and harder. And
Yeah.
I'm very demanding of myself. So,
Yeah. No, I think that that definitely makes a lot of sense. Um, I just can't believe you're producing that much. That's an incredible rate.
and it's
So
like I said, that's less than I used to.
yeah,
I've cut
what is
back.
your like? Well, I mean, this kind of goes into some of my like standard questions that I ask everybody. So I'll just kind of start jumping into that. So first, what's on your desk?
Right now,
Yeah,
my
when you write,
tea, my
or
phone, a laptop. That's it.
yeah. Are you somebody who has to have like your desk like really clean
Oh God,
and
no.
and clear? Nope, it's full of
No.
stuff.
Well, you know what? I clean it up when I finish a book. I just turned a book in, so it's relatively neat now. And then by the time I finish, it just looks like a bomb went off in here.
Yeah.
Just candy wrappers and empty LaCroix bottles and stacked
Post-it
all
notes.
over.
I don't know about you, but I've got a variety post-its.
Notebooks. I like index cards, so I always have a stack of index cards.
Nice.
Just to, paper to jot notes down on, and then I lose all of those written notes.
A really fun part of the process.
Yeah.
What ritual, if any, do you have before or after you write?
I don't. I used to have things, but now I just go from one book to the next. I'm cleaning up some administrative stuff I have to do right now and some PR things that I have to take care of, waiting for my edits to come back. And I'll do that first round of edits and then I'll be in my next book.
Yeah.
So there really isn't time.
So basically on a day-to-day, do you like get up early and do you like write at the same time, or do you write whenever, like you can get a shot at it? What's kind of your style?
I have a gym in the basement, so I'm usually in the gym by 7.
Mm-hmm.
And then I try to be in my office by 9, and I usually will work until dinner
Okay.
most days, unless I have a lot of family responsibilities right now.
Yeah.
My
With the
grandfather.
grandbaby.
I have all the doctor's appointments I have to take other people to. This
Yep.
morning I picked my grandfather up at 7:30 for his eye doctor appointment. So he's 94.
Wow. Wow. I mean, that is the benefit of this kind of career, is you do have so much flexibility,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
And then I was on deadline last week, so I was writing probably 12 hours a day.
Wow. Wow.
Trying to finish.
Yeah. And so how many drafts do you do before you share your book with anybody?
1. I don't share it with anyone. It goes right to my editor and agent. That's it.
So you're like a first draft is good. I mean, you've done this 40 times. So like, to be fair to listeners that are new, like this is not the norm.
I'm not a fast writer though, and I edit as I go.
Okay.
So by the time I've finished, usually it's only like the last 20% that hasn't already been read through.
Yeah.
Usually when I get stuck, I go back to the beginning and read through again.
Okay.
Because when I get writer's block, it just means something is wrong.
Yeah.
In the plot, and my brain is like, hold on, hold the phone, go back, something's wrong. So I'll usually go back and read through and edit until I find the problem or the directional change that I made that is not working. Subconsciously, again, my subconscious kicks in and tells me, hold up, and I'll go back and read through. So my drafts tend to be fairly clean, except for the end. And usually my editor will say, well, this is really great until this chapter. And I'll be like, yeah, we know.
Like, I know. It hasn't been touched as many times.
Yeah. She knows me.
So if you are writing multiple POV or multiple timeline, do you write straight through like a reader reads, or do you write each section and weave together?
I usually write straight through. Unless a scene comes to me that I know and it's right in my head and I have to get it out. Sometimes, so occasionally I will write scenes out of order.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I will decide they're in the wrong order, and I'll move them, which I hate to do because there was the timeline incident of 2014 that is traumatizing.
Oh no, what was that?
Just, I turned a book in and there was a timeline issue because of a plot line that was occurring simultaneously on the other side of the country. So there was a timeline, so there was an actual time difference, and I don't know where I messed up in there somehow, but that was like a nightmare to fix. So,
oh my gosh.
So now I tend to write more linearly, and in Scrivener, I do keep track of my timeline in the notes.
Okay.
Either in the notes or usually on the the little index card. What do they call that?
Yes.
The little synopsis
I know
point.
The cork board.
A lot of times the corkboard, my notes, I don't have a lot of notes in there, but I will usually put the timeline in. Like, where am I? And again, I was traumatized in 2014 with this timeline incident. So I try to be careful about that. Sometimes I will just get writing and I would be like, oh, what day is it now? Have I been on the same day for like 17 chapters now? We should probably have another day.
Yeah. They need to eat at some point. When are they sleeping?
That's right.
What is the most bullshit piece of advice you've heard?
Oh, write what you know.
Okay.
That would
Okay.
be boring. I mean, I write about serial killers. I hope I don't
I
know.
hope you don't know, but well, and what is the best piece of advice you've heard?
Write every day. I pretty much write every day.
Okay. And do you feel like that keeps the muscle like very sharp and like
I think that I lose track of I write multiple plot threads when I'm writing a book. There's always more than one plot thread. And if
yeah.
I drop that for too many days, I mean, it's okay to not write for a day or so, but when I'm in a project, I don't like to go more than a day without writing it because it's too easy to forget those threads.
So easy to forget.
And I don't plan. We've already covered that.
Yeah.
So I don't
And
have
you're like,
like a
so I
written
really don't
plan.
know
Yeah.
what
So I really
I
need to
don't
keep track of
remember.
those things.
um what is the darkest idea you've had that has scared you about yourself?
Darkest idea I've had.
Where you were like, oh,
Uh,
Melinda, you need to go take a sit down a second. What is wrong with you?
I don't think I've ever felt that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, no,
Okay.
no. And I once in one of my books, I put a head on a post. So, and I was like, well, this is fun.
This is yay. I mean, I think you have to have that kind of like mentality of like, no, it's
It's
not too dark.
fiction. We're
I'm not,
not really doing
yes,
it.
I'm not really doing it. No. Um, what part of the process is your favorite and what part is the least favorite?
I like editing. I know it's weird. I love the editing process. I think once I get the book finished, there's just such a huge relief for
Yeah.
me. Um, I would much rather be doing the back end part.
Yeah. So the drafting is not the
Yeah,
most
it's not
fun.
my favorite. No, some days are
Yeah.
good. The other days are not good.
I mean, it's rough out. It really is. And it's like if you get through the first draft, it's such a relief.
Yeah.
But getting through that first draft
Yeah.
can be very difficult
I
because
mean,
you're creating something from nothing.
that's right. I can fix almost anything
Yeah.
once I have an end. Probably again, if I plotted, it would probably help. But every time I have tried to plot, I end up just thinking of something better while I'm writing and then just throwing away my outline anyway. So it's just,
Yeah.
I've decided it's a waste of time.
Okay, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but what is your favorite old school mystery or thriller?
Old school mystery or thriller. I read so much. It is really hard for me to keep track. I loved Naked in Death, one of my favorites. I've read that numerous times. I thought
Okay.
that was so fun. I loved, what was the first Patricia Cornwell? The first Gay Carpetta book?
Postmortem.
Yes, that
Postmortem.
was
Yeah.
excellent.
So good. Are you going to watch the show or are
Of
you watching the
course.
show?
Of course.
Okay.
Has it started? I've been a
I think
deadline. I don't even know what month it
no,
is.
I think it just started. It hasn't been like fully released yet. I'm not sure if they're doing it weekly, but how do you feel? Just hot take. How do you feel about Nicole Kidman as Kay Scarpetta?
I think I'm just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, because
she does.
I'm
a huge Jamie Lee Curtis fan.
Love Jamie Lee Curtis. Like she, I think is great. I'm super stoked about that.
She's going to be great.
Yeah, I love the Simon, whatever, the guy that was on The Mentalist. He's starring in it too.
Oh, good.
Love him. But yeah, I'm
we'll see, right? I mean, I don't know.
We're gonna see. But one of the reasons I ask this is that I believe that this first season, or at least the first episode, is somehow tied back to the first case in Postmortem.
Okay, cool.
So if it's not Postmortem, but it's somehow tied back. So I was like, okay, I'm very interested to see how this is going to go. I'm hesitant and skeptical. But
well, it'll see it. A lot depends on the writing, the producer, the director, and how the whole project comes together.
Right, right.
She could be great.
Yeah,
it could be fantastic.
See.
So
we'll see.
I was excited to see Jamie Lee.
I just, as Scarpetta, I just was like, oh.
I don't know that I ever really thought about anyone to be Kay Scarpetta, though. I never really put any thought into it. So
no, I don't think I did either. The idea was like, oh, that's an interesting choice.
She's, I'm sure she'll put something.
She'll be fantastic, as she always is.
Exactly.
Okay, well, Melinda, thank you so much for chatting with me today. I've had such a good time. Where can people find you?
I am on Facebook and Instagram mostly.
Okay.
I do have a TikTok account, but I'm not actually there. It gives me a headache.
Yeah.
It's too
It's just a lot. There's a lot
and me,
happening.
and I just don't have time to keep up with that many
Yeah.
forms of social media. So Facebook and Instagram, and I have a website.
Hmm.
And I do not bombard you with newsletters. I will only send you one when, like I have a book coming out, or,
Yeah.
a couple times a year. You're not going to get them all the time.
Nice.
Um, if you go on Amazon, you can follow me there if you'd rather, and they'll give you, they'll send you an email when my books are coming out or when one is on sale
Yeah.
sometimes.
And you've got quite a backlog to choose from. So there's quite a back catalog. So you can always find something good from Melinda if you're looking for it. Just check her out on Amazon where all her books are listed. And ebooks like, hey, do you want a Kindle? You can find me on Instagram at Sabrina Thatcher Author. And if you want information about my book coaching services, you can visit crimeandquill.com. Until next time, friends, stay sharp and write twisted.